200,000 miles around the country in the Tesla. Got up to Canada, got down to Mexico. I think there's not a part of the country that I have missed, so I've gotten to know the car pretty well. And you know, honestly, not much of my opinion has changed since my 110,000 mile video where I went in depth into everything. So today, we're just going to talk about a couple things. Short and sweet, battery degradation, and maintenance and service, total cost of ownership over those 200,000 miles. So without further ado, let's get to it. Maintenance. There really hasn't been anything serious that's gone wrong in the 200,000 miles that I've driven the car. I've had to get both the passenger and the driver's side control arms replaced. I had to get the door window switch replaced, that broke off. The charge port door, that stopped working. I would have to go outside and push it. It just stopped working automatically. The fog light in the rear got moisture in it, had to be replaced. And then a wire harness in the trunk got frayed and the reverse light stopped working, so that had to be replaced. And then a driver's seat harness wire got frayed. None of those really cost much. The control arms were each over about $700 each, and then everything else was under $500. If you want to know the exact pricings, I've got it all listed in my blog. There's a link to it in the description. You can go check it out there. There's been a couple self-inflicted things that happened, and that got a little bit pricier. I hit a coyote, had to get a PDC sensor replaced. They did that for free, which was awesome. The aero shield ran over some roadkill, had to get that replaced. Windshield had to get replaced for some cracks, and I cracked 2 rims, so the 19-inch rims, those cracked pretty easily. And then I got rear-ended in Yellowstone when I was following a herd of buffalo, and yeah, so I had to get that fixed. But you know, that's all self-inflicted, so if you're driving good or whatever, you know, you're not going to have to worry about any of those. Tires, you know, as I've said before, tires, you go through them like a hot knife through butter. I get about 30,000 miles on each set of tires, and so I've gone through, I'm on my 6th set right now, and yeah, I actually have winter tires on right now, but usually I go with Pirelli all season P7 Centuros. I think that's how you say it. But yeah, so I've got those. They'll prorate onto the next set because they've got a 60,000 tread guarantee, which, you know, saves me a couple bucks, but without the guarantee, you know, about $1,100 per set, so that can add up pretty quickly. But other than that, there's really nothing that goes wrong with the car. Fuel costs. It's hard for me to give an accurate projection of how much I've actually spent on fuel because there's just so many different ways that I've charged. You know, you got your wall outlets, you've got local level 2 chargers, you've got J1772s that are sometimes free, sometimes charged, you've got your home level 2 charger, you've got supercharging. Every single one has a different price. Most of my stuff has been through supercharging though, so we're just going to use that, and that's the most expensive, right? Well, some of the third-party charging is more expensive than supercharging, but I try not to use those. But we're going to go with supercharging and what the average cost would be. So it, let's see, 6 cents per mile, and that's at 25 cents a kilowatt, and so that means about $12,000 on fuel over 200,000 miles, which I think is pretty good. Battery degradation. This is usually the part where people want me to talk about how many miles I get out of a full charge, but I think that's one of the more asinine ways of looking at your battery degradation. There's just way too many factors that come into play when you're figuring out how many miles you can actually get. What's the weather like? How fast are you going? Is it highway speeds or, you know, regular city street speeds? Are you on dirt roads, gravel roads, or regularly paved roads? Do you have the heat blasting? Are you using air conditioning? You know, all of these have a play on how many miles you're gonna get. And to say, well, I get X amount of miles out of a battery doesn't really take all of that into consideration. So I like to think about it in kilowatt hour usage. And so recently I went on a trip where I used 46 kilowatts over 71% of my battery. And so if you think about it, 46 over 71 is equal to X over 100, meaning X is 64.78. So that's how many kilowatts I still get, and roughly speaking. And if you think I had a 75 kilowatt battery, because I have the long range Model 3, the 2018 one, if I have a 75 kilowatt battery to begin with, then that would mean I have a degradation of 13.7%. If I look at my Tesla app, it tells me I can still get 287 miles, which if you used 310 that I normally would have gotten when I bought it would mean I only have like an 8% degradation, so there's a little bit of a difference there. Total cost of ownership. So if you take everything above, the money that I spent on fuel, all the tires, all the maintenance, you get to about $27,000. Add that to the $53,000 that I spent on the car, you get 80 grand, and then add in about $5,000 in insurance over the 4 years that I've had the car, and you're at $85,000, which is a pretty penny when you really think about it. But then if you compare it to the IRS average per mile usage, a 200,000 mile car at 58 cents per mile is $116,000, meaning I saved like $31,000, give or take a little bit. This seems like an astronomical amount of money to save over the lifespan of a car. You could do a little bit more savings. This is with supercharging, so you'd save more by charging at home, another $6,000 around there if you have 13 cents per kilowatt. Then, you know, if you don't have any self-inflicted maintenance and you just have the maintenance and wear and tear on the car, you save even more. I keep thinking that there's something wrong with my calculation, and you know what, there might be, but I can't find it. Maybe it's just that 58 cents per mile is actually a lot more than we really think about it. I can't complain about saving 30 grand. I don't think anyone can. And it almost seems like a no-brainer why people wouldn't end up getting an electric car if there's that real amount of savings there. Would I buy another Tesla? The hands down answer to that question is yes. When I'm asked if I like my car, I usually say it's the best investment I ever made. And I'm not being hyperbolic when I say that. It's fun to drive, it's saved me a lot of money, and you know, I feel good about my carbon footprint, which may be a little bit more subjective depending on how you look at the data, but it still feels good. When I look at an ICE vehicle and when I try to drive it, it seems like I'm stepping back in time. It's sluggish and slow, and it doesn't respond well, and then it's spewing out this smelly gas all the time. I just really don't enjoy it. There's a lot of other electric vehicles that are coming out on the market, and I would consider those, but the Tesla supercharger network has been imperative to me being able to travel around the country. The third-party charging systems are getting better and better, and Tesla is, you know, talking about opening up theirs to other vehicles, so I would consider another electric vehicle, but hands down, I would never go